Hello, how's it going? Hi, welcome. Another week, another review, right? Maction started this week. I know I've been saying it started forever now, right? According to me, it was supposed to start 2 weeks ago, but nope, started this week. And there were a lot of fun games on this week, a lot of upsets this week as well. I'm gonna try to go a little faster through this video, just because I just want to see some things, right? I want to see if I can go a little bit faster. The top is cut off somewhere. I couldn't really find a way to fix that besides retaking the picture, which I didn't feel like doing. So live with it. Sorry, you can still read it. You guys know what it says. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into this review. I'm gonna kick myself over here, and we're gonna start with the Maction game. So the game's played on Tuesday. By the way, that's 25, not 26. Ball State has started to feel better, right? That Ball State has started to get things figured out. They improved to 5-4 with a win over Akron. Pretty good performance from Drew Plitt as well. Eastern Michigan and Toledo. If you were a defensive player, you were better off just not playing in this game. There were a lot of good offensive performances, including Ben Bryant, who's the quarterback for Eastern Michigan, 354 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. On the other side, you had Daquan Finn with 461 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a pick by himself. Hassan Beydoun, who's a wide receiver for the Eastern Michigan on the winning side, 12 catches, 197 yards, 2 touchdowns, while Matt Landers on the other side, 5 catches, 150 yards, and 2 touchdowns for Toledo. But also Bryant Koback, running back for Toledo, 15 carries, 180 yards, 2 touchdowns, including Jaquez Stewart, a 97-yard kick return touchdown. All of that still not enough as Eastern Michigan is able to walk away with a 3-point win, and they have clinched a spot in a bowl game. How about that? Eastern Michigan making a bowl game. Toledo has got to win 2 out of their last 3 to make a bowl game. So, Eastern Michigan, congratulations. You're going bowling. Akron probably not going bowling this year. Surprise, surprise. Ball State now just 1 win away. And as for Toledo, again, I just said, got to win 2 out of your last 3. And Ohio has made it difficult for Miami of Ohio to make a bowl game. They win it 35-33, despite Brent Gabbert's almost 500-yard, 5-touchdown performance for Miami of Ohio. And Jack Sorensen, what a day for him. 14 catches, 283 yards, and 2 touchdowns for the Red Hawk wide receiver. Great day for them, but an even better day for Ohio as they get just their 2nd win of the year. Ohio's been kind of a surprise disappointment team for me. I thought they'd be a lot better than this. Probably not making a bowl game unless, of course, there aren't enough 6-6 teams, which, hey, it's 2021, right? Anything can happen. But yeah, there was your Tuesday recap. Let's move into games on Wednesday. Central Michigan. Lou Nichols, one of the better backs in the nation in terms of yards, total yards this season, has now eclipsed 1,000 yards with a 26 carry, 163-yard, 2-touchdown performance as Central Michigan beats Western Michigan. Western Michigan was looking like a really good story for most of the beginning of the year. Now, both of these teams sit at 5-4, both 1 win away from bowl eligibility, and we'll see if either of them can get there in their last 3 games. Northern Illinois had already clinched bowl eligibility, and now Kent State 1 win away from doing so. And they have also made the Mid-American conversation a lot more interesting, with now that being Northern Illinois' first loss in conference play. Rocky Lombardi still had a really good day for Northern Illinois, though. 532 yards, 3 touchdowns. And Tavon Rudolph, a wide receiver, oh my goodness, 14 catches, 309 yards, 3 touchdowns. Dustin Crum played a pretty good game as well for Kent State. 322 yards, 2 touchdowns, along with 4 carries, 72 yards, and 2 touchdowns, obviously in a winning effort. Maction is fun, right? Look at all these close, high-scoring games. If you like offense, Tuesdays and Wednesdays are going to be the nights for you for the next couple of weeks here, right? Still should be fun to watch what's coming up next week for Maction. There's a lot of interesting games left to be played in the Mid-American Conference, but moving out of the Mid-American Conference now to games that are being played on Thursday, there was only one of them, and it was Louisiana. Louisiana 21-17, grinding out a win against Georgia State, now 8-1 on the year. And they have clinched their division in the Sun Belt as well. So they will either play App State or Coastal Carolina for that last spot in the for the last spot in the championship game. So we'll see what happens there. Louisiana's already kicked the crap out of App State, while Coastal Carolina has lost to App State. So still some things to play out in the Sun Belt. If you ask me, Coastal Carolina is the better team, and we'll get to them. They played over here, but we'll see, right? All right, back in the games on Friday now. Phil Jerkovic returned for Boston College. How about this, right? A surprise story. Did not expect Phil Jerkovic to return in this game. He did. 112 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception, along with 9 carries for 65 yards and a rushing touchdown. So again, not a great day for Phil Jerkovic, but it wasn't really a great day for any offensive player in this one. Only 20 total points scored, and Boston College scored the majority of those, 17-3. Final score of that one. 1 win away from bowl eligibility are the Eagles. And Utah gets bowl eligible in this game. How about Tavion Thomas? The run that he has been going on as of late. He's one of the hottest players in the country right now. 20 carries, 177 yards, 4 touchdowns as Utah blows Stanford out of the water. Stanford has to win their last 3 games now to get bowl eligible. We'll see if they can do it. All right, there was your weekday slate. Now let's move into the weekend slate. Of course, I'm talking about the Saturday games. Army was in control of most of this game. Air Force tried to make it interesting late, though, but nonetheless, Army comes through, wins this one 21-14 in overtime. See a little parentheses right there, in overtime. A pretty fascinating game to watch. Again, I was in Lincoln. I have my ticket here to prove it. And I also have the video footage to prove it, right? My Ohio State fan reaction did a little fun thing with the intro. But I was in Lincoln, so I didn't get to watch a lot of like these games here. I watched the second half of most of these games here, but the noon games, I just kind of kept my eye on, right? I was in Lincoln, I was enjoying myself, had a lot of fun. It was a little bit more of a stressful game than I would have liked to get to, but we'll get there, right? All right. Anyway, Army and Air Force, pretty good game from what I heard and what I watched on highlights. And Army takes the win. Of course, Air Force already bowl eligible, and Army trying to get there. 5-3 is their record. Now, excuse me for a sec. I just like dropping stuff when I'm recording, I guess. Kansas State beats their in-state rival in Kansas, and they get bowl eligible. No surprise with the win, but hey, Kansas State now a bowl eligible team for this year. Illinois is trying to get to a bowl eligible team. They've had to pull off a lot of upsets to do it, and they pull off this upset here. Chase Brown, 32 carries for 147 yards in this game, but that wasn't the story. The story was the defense for Illinois, holding Minnesota to 6 points. That's it. The 20th ranked team in the nation, including according to the College Football Playoff Committee. 6 sacks. And I'm talking about the Fighting Illini defense here. 6 sacks, 9 tackles for loss, 2 interceptions, and they pull off yet another upset win on the road. Another upset win on the road. Remember, they upset Penn State in that 9 overtime thriller, snoozer, whatever you want to call that game. That game was interesting to say the least. But they get another really impressive win here against the Minnesota team that was playing some good football. And now Minnesota's got a couple questionable losses on their schedule. Still bowl eligible. Illinois is 2 wins away from getting there. We'll see if they can pull it off. Liberty and Ole Miss. I'm pretty sure you could report Ole Miss to the principal's office for bullying in this one, because they were not letting Malik Willis do anything. He only had 173 yards, no touchdowns, threw 3 interceptions. Notice a trend here. Malik Willis likes to throw 3 picks in the game. It's either no picks or 3 picks. That's it. That's what you're going to get with Malik Willis. So if he throws 1, you can expect him to throw 2 more. The Ole Miss defense, though, again, was stifling. 9 sacks on Malik Willis, 11 tackles for loss, 9 of those, of course, being the sacks, and 3 interceptions, as I just mentioned, along with a pretty good day for Jerry on Ely on the other side. 10 carries, 115 yards, 2 touchdowns. I believe the score was like 24-0 at half, something like that. Crazy. But Ole Miss played bully ball in this one, and they get the 13-point win over an otherwise pretty good Liberty team, and they ruin the homecoming party for Hugh Freeze. Georgia was being Georgia. They win by 37. Still did not beat the spread, though. I think the final spread was 39. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was 39. Missouri, again, trying to get bowl eligible, but Georgia, the easy number one team in the nation right now, is going to stay that way after a very impressive win. And they might have found their quarterback in Stetson Bennett as well. He took some shots in this game, and they paid off big time. Some nice long plays for Georgia's offense. And now this is the Georgia offense that I feel more confident in, right? But no one seems to be close to Georgia's level right now. They're playing absolutely amazing, outstanding football, and they should win the rest of their 3 games coming up here as well with Tennessee, Charleston Southern, and Georgia Tech, I believe, are the games coming up for them. So see what happens, right? All right, SMU and Memphis. SMU picks up their 2nd straight loss of the year, and Hennigan came back for Memphis in this game. 392 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 pick for Hennigan as he leads Memphis to a 28-25 win over the SMU Mustangs. So now when Cincinnati goes to play SMU, we'll get to Cincinnati, right? They are over here. When Cincinnati goes to play SMU, if they end up winning that game, which it looks like they're going to, right? Probably not going to be as impressive of a win as we thought. So Cincinnati has got to start picking it up, got to start blowing some teams out, right? Because SMU still going to be a pretty solid win. Definitely is going to be their best win in the regular season besides Notre Dame, but it won't be a huge win. It won't be a rank versus rank matchup like we all thought, right? So Memphis pulls off what I'm going to say is an upset win there, and now 1 win away from bowl eligibility. Moving up into the second, the second column now. Sorry, you can't really see all that well. It kind of is cut off, and for that I apologize. But the 25th ranked team in the nation, the Pitt Panthers, 54-29. They were doing some very Pitt-like things in the first half, and the game was in question a little bit, but nonetheless, Pittsburgh handles Duke in the second half, able to take care of business, and the 25th ranked team in the nation improves to 7-2. Duke has to win their last 3 to make a bowl game. All right, Louisiana Tech had to win this game to stay bowl eligible, and they couldn't do it off a fantastic performance from Dwayne McBride, a running back for UAB, 14 carries, 210 yards, and 4 touchdowns as McBride carries UAB in an offensive battle as the Blazers win by 14, now improved to 6-3. And they got to play UTSA here in a couple of weeks, which should be a pretty fun game to watch. All right, here's the game that I attended in Lincoln, Ohio State and Nebraska. Again, this was the Nebraska that showed up to play Oklahoma, Michigan State, Michigan, all of these games that were close games, right? Nebraska played really, really good football. Ohio State, I thought, played pretty well defensively, but offensively, yeah, this is the best offense in the nation. For the past couple of weeks now, they've been shaky in the red zone. CJ Stroud had an okay day, 405 yards. That's a lot of passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns, including one to Jackson Smith and Jigba, who we'll talk about him in a minute. But then 2 interceptions for Stroud as well. And both of those picks, he just tried to force. There were throws that he tried to force. They really shouldn't have been picks in the first place. Martinez went 248, 1-1. So 248 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, and 2 absolute bomb plays to Samori Toure. 4 catches for 150 yards and a touchdown for Toure, but that wasn't even the best receiving performance of the day, as Jackson Smith and Jigba was a busy man. 15 catches, which was an Ohio State program, or which is an Ohio State program record, I should say, with 240 yards and 1 touchdown. He was busy today as Garrett Wilson didn't even travel with the team to Lincoln. A head injury. He should, from what it's sounding like, is day-to-day right now, but should be ready to go for the Purdue game next week. And we'll get to Purdue in a minute. Don't you worry. They're just right across. But yeah, for Ohio State, probably should have won this game by 2 or 3 touchdowns. Well, probably 3 or more touchdowns, because they got in the red zone a lot. They just couldn't come away with anything, right? For Ohio State, definitely some stuff to clean up here. For Nebraska, it's yet another close, heartbreaking loss. Plenty of chances for the Huskers to win this game. And by the way, the officials in this game were not great. In fact, I think they were pretty awful. Kick catch interference call, one of the worst things I've ever seen in my entire life. And then a huge string of makeup calls, lots of missed calls on both sides, including a pass interference on an Ohio State secondary on Omar Manning. Yes, I'm an Ohio State fan, but I will agree that pass interference call was missed. As were a lot of calls. The officials were not great in this game. Not the reason that Nebraska lost or Ohio State won, but just thought I'd mention that as well. The officials were not great. Being there in Lincoln, yeah, the officials were not great, and the entire section I was with fully agreed with me. All right, Ohio State picks up the win. They still control their own destiny, and now are first in the Big Ten East, and we'll talk about why in a minute. But Wake Forest and North Carolina, how about this for a fun game, huh? This was the game that I was most closely watching while I was in Lincoln. I actually got to watch a little bit of it here towards the end after this game finished up. Got to watch the closing seconds of that game, and yeah, so it was back and forth in the first half. Then Wake Forest seemingly seemed like they were going to take control of this game until North Carolina came out and decided, no, we're going to go ahead and take this game from you, ruin your undefeated season, and Wake Forest is now 8-1. And with that, the ACC playoff hopes are done. No ACC team is going to get into the college football playoff this year with that loss. Who knows? Maybe Wake Forest can still find a way in. I just don't see it. We wondered how this Wake Forest team was going to play when they faced good competition. Well, now we know. It was a shootout. No defense allowed when Wake Forest plays, I guess. Look at the 70-56 game against Army. So no defense allowed for Wake Forest, I guess, is the thing. But Hartman, 398 yards, 5 touchdowns, 2 picks, along with 12 carries for 78 yards and 2 touchdowns. A.T. Perry and Ja'Cory Roberson had a pretty good day collectively. Collectively, 13 carries, 142 yards, 4 touchdowns, 2 each. For Sam Howell, a preseason Heisman contender, 216 yards with 1 touchdown through the air, and on the ground, 21 carries, 104 yards, and 2 touchdowns, while Ty Chandler lit it up in this game. Former Tennessee transfer, 22 carries, 213 yards, and 4 touchdowns for Ty Chandler. Really, really good stuff from North Carolina in this game. Again, games I don't watch, I watch highlights of. So that one right there, really, really good from North Carolina. Each team had 11 penalties, which I just found interesting. I think Wake Forest had 119 penalty yards and North Carolina had 118. So it didn't really matter. Still, too many penalties for both of these teams. North Carolina takes control late. Wake Forest scores late, but it doesn't end up mattering. North Carolina gets the 3-point upset win, ends Wake Forest undefeated season, and now North Carolina is 1 win away from bowl eligibility, as is Miami. Previously thought to be the 2 best teams in that division in the ACC. Not going to prove to be the case this year, but Miami is playing some really good football as of late. Really, really good football. 33-30 was the win here over Georgia Tech, including some good performances from Knighton, running back for Miami, 32, 162, and 1. And Charleston Rambo had 7 catches for 210 yards and a touchdown for the Miami Hurricanes. So they're playing some really good football. Also 1 win away from bowl eligibility. We'll see if both of these teams can get there next week. App State blew the doors off of Arkansas State. Arkansas State, not a very good team this year. While App State, again, they have the win over Coastal Carolina down here. Great win for App State. They win it 48-14. The 2 o'clock games, which you see slated right here, not a lot of exciting ones here. North Texas beating Southern Miss. Pretty easy win for them there. Keaton Mitchell finally got his mojo back in the game for East Carolina. Now 1 win away from bowl eligibilities. They beat Temple, who along with North Texas have to win their last 3 to make a bowl game. And so does Cal after Arizona picks up their first win in over 2 seasons. Again, went winless last year, was winless this year. I believe had a 20-some game losing streak. Was, I believe, the longest losing streak in the nation. And it's ended. It's over. Cal's offensive struggles show up in this game big time as Arizona has to grind out a 10-3 win. Now Cal, of course, should have been a pretty easy win here. Now it turns into an, okay, so now we have to win the last 3 to make a bowl game. Not great for Cal there. Great for Arizona, though. Really happy for this program. They needed it. They needed a win bad, and they get it. We'll see if they can pick up another one sometime this year. I don't like the odds of it, but could possibly happen, right? I think they face like someone pretty easy down the road. So we'll see what Arizona does. Good for them to pick up their first win. And Texas State is able to beat University of Louisiana Monroe. University of Louisiana Monroe has been a very interesting story this year, of course, with Rodriguez, of course, the quarterback that got hospitalized, just was the worst team in FBS last year. Now they're pretty solid. Again, they're not great or good by any means, but again, a pretty solid team. 4-5, have to win 2 of their last 3 to get a bowl game, while Texas State did what they had to do. They had to win their last 4, now have to win their last 3 in order to make a bowl game. So good performances all around in this one, but Texas State comes away with the win. Wisconsin comes away with the absolute dominant win of Rutgers, who fall to 4-5. Wisconsin now clinches a spot in the bowl game, the 21st ranked team in the nation, probably going to stay in the rankings. You'll see if I have them ranked tomorrow as well. They take advantage of 4 Rutgers turnovers, 1 fumble, 3 interceptions, and by far their best offensive performance from Graham Mertz of the season gets a 52-3 win. Did not see that one coming. Thought that game was going to be much closer. Still thought Wisconsin would win, don't get me wrong, but thought it would just be a lot closer than 52-3. Rutgers now has to win 2 out of their last 3 to make a bowl game, as does West Virginia, as they get pummeled by Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State, Tay Martin had a good day, 7 catches, 63 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So only 63 yards, but 2 of them went for touchdowns in a game that, well, didn't involve a lot of offense at all. But the story of this game was Oklahoma State's defense, right? 8 sacks, 12 tackles for loss, 1 forced fumble, 1 interception, and only allowed West Virginia to gain a total of 133 yards. That was it. That's all Oklahoma State was going to allow. Now they sit solidly in second place after this performance here, which we will get to. But they sit solidly in second place now in the Big 12. And we'll see if they can keep it there, right? Still have Oklahoma on the schedule. Going to be interesting to watch Oklahoma State the rest of the way. Troy and South Alabama faced off in this one. Both teams are now 5-4 after Troy gets the win. Colton Marshall had 14 tackles in this game. Really good defensive performance from him. Troy gets the win. In UMass, what more do you want me to say, right? Rhode Island, an FCS team, a pretty solid FCS team. Like, they're not great in the football championship series, but they are pretty solid. And they come in here and, well, the rest is the rest, right? Able to beat UMass pretty handedly as Rhode Island gets the 13-point win over one of the worst teams in FBS. Excuse me. Sorry. I knew it was coming. That's why I paused. Notre Dame, the 10th ranked team in the nation, 34-6 win over Navy. An absolutely great performance from Notre Dame in this game. Kyron Williams had 2 rushing touchdowns in the triple option. No match for Notre Dame is now Navy. Probably not going to make a bowl game this year as Notre Dame improves to 8-1. Of course, that only loss being the undefeated Cincinnati, and we'll get to them here in just a little bit. BYU able to win pretty easily against Idaho State. The 15th ranked team in the nation wins by a long shot, win by 45. They improve to 8-2. Middle Tennessee and Western Kentucky. This is the battle of 4-4 teams. The winners want to win away from bowl eligibility, and the loser has to do some work in their last 3 games. And that's going to be Middle Tennessee. They turned the ball over 6 times. In fact, it was 6 picks by the Western Kentucky defense, including 1 72-yard pick 6. Yeah, you're not going to win a game when you throw 6 picks, and I don't care how bad the other team you're playing is. And again, Western Kentucky is good enough to take advantage when you have Zoppy, when you have Stearns, when you have so many good playmakers for Western Kentucky. 6 picks is not going to bode well for the other team in Middle Tennessee, who usually has a pretty ball hawking defense, one of the worst in the nation this year. And they just, again, could not stop this passing attack. So Western Kentucky makes life difficult on the Blue Raiders, is now Western Kentucky 1 win away from getting back to another bowl game. Auburn and Texas A&M. This was the only ranked versus ranked matchup of the week, and Texas A&M wins it handedly. The only stats I wrote down were the quarterback battles here because it really was just all defense. But Bo Nix, 153 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception. And Zach Calzada, 192 yards. And that was pretty much Zach Calzada's day. So again, Auburn did not have the best offensive game in this one. I think if Auburn played better offensively, probably could have won. Tank Bigsby, Isaiah Spiller, that was a pretty interesting battle to watch in this game as well. Isaiah Spiller won that by gaining over 100 yards in this game. But yeah, this is a nice win for Texas A&M. A really, really, really solid win here. And yeah, so for Auburn, you dropped to 6-3, but you can still spoil someone's season, right? You can still spoil the Crimson Tide season. We'll get to this game over here, but you can still spoil the Crimson Tide season. And as for Texas A&M, they're looking to get in to the SEC championship game. They have the tiebreaker over Alabama. So if both of these teams now finish with the exact same conference record, possibly. But of course, Texas A&M has 2 conference losses. Auburn only had 1, of course, losing this game. So they would need Bama to drop another one. So now Texas A&M is going to become big Auburn fans the last weekend of the season, because if Alabama picks up another loss in conference, which more likely than not would be to Auburn, guess who gets the nod for the SEC championship game? That's right, it's Texas A&M. So still a lot to play out in the SEC. Going to be very interesting to watch there. Colorado State and Wyoming. Pretty good day here for the Wyoming team, as again, they started out 4-0, have dropped their last 4 games, and they faced a Colorado State team that was playing pretty well in Mountain West play, and they go ahead and get the win. The Cowboys now 1 win away from bowl eligibility themselves, while Colorado State has to win their last 3. Switching sides now, we're going to talk about Rice and Charlotte to kick off this side of the board. There you go. You guys can see everything out. We're going to start off with Rice and Charlotte to kick off this side of the board. And for Charlotte, it was a very nice comeback win. 24-14 is what they were down by after a 16-play, 84-yard, 9-minute and 36 seconds drive by the Rice Owls. So, and that was with about, I think, six-ish minutes left. So Charlotte went down, kicked a field goal, I do believe, stopped Rice made Rice get a 3-and-out, and then drove down the field, scored the tying touchdown, and then in overtime just outplayed Rice. They improved now to 5-4. This was a really impressive team to start off the season. They've kind of fallen back since, but now still 1 win away from being bowl eligible. Really good story here for Charlotte. I think this team can get to a bowl game with what they have left on their schedule. Definitely can win 1 out of the last 3 of those games. All right, Cincinnati playing Tulsa in this game. Cincinnati, this game, a huge opportunity to get some style points. The playoff ranking is out there at number 6. They felt disrespected. It seemed like they were going to get those style points early. They went up 14-0. Everything was looking great. And then, all of a sudden, now it's 14-12. Well, they come out of the half, 21-12. Okay, Cincinnati's going to blow out Tulsa. No. They score again, but so does Tulsa. They get the 2-point conversion as well. And it came down to Cincinnati's defense. And this is why I think Cincinnati is a playoff team, is because of their defense, right? Their defense is ridiculously good. I mean, wow. This defense is incredible. Incredible. A huge goal line stop on however many tries from the 1-yard line. Then Tulsa fumbles the ball. Cincinnati, of course, just going to run out the clock, but oh no, they fumble the snap too. Tulsa recovers it. Cincinnati's going to make another goal line stand, and they do. Tulsa fumbles this one, Tulsa had a turnover on downs, and then Cincinnati fumbled, and then Tulsa fumbled this one, and then Cincinnati ran out the clock from there. So, wipe the sweat off your brow. If you're Cincinnati, you escape with a win. They need to start winning with some style points if they're going to want to impress the college football playoff committee. They get the 8-point win, and a win is a win is a win, but they need to start winning more impressively, because the best win on their season, the best win of the year is going to be Notre Dame. Yes. And as long as Houston keeps winning, okay, that's going to be another solid win. Indiana on the road doesn't look great, but it's still a win on the road against the Power 5 team. We'll see what happens with Cincinnati. They're probably going to end up needing some help after their last 3 performances in the past 3 weeks, but they're still one of the 4 undefeated teams left in the nation. Still looking pretty solid, but they got to step it up. They got to play better, right? They have 1 week left before the SMU game, and I think they play South Florida. So definitely opportunity to go out there, blow someone out, make a statement. They have to. They have to do it next week. Game day was actually here for Cincinnati and Tulsa. It was a pretty interesting game, but again, Cincinnati should have beaten Tulsa by more. We'll see what happens moving forward. Baylor and TCU. All right, TCU fires their head coach, Gary Patterson, after 20 long years as the head coach. They steal this one. Full on steal this one. Baylor had a pretty solid game, but TCU was in control pretty much all game long. I don't think Baylor played bad at all. I just think that TCU played better. And the decision was they started Chandler Morris, and it worked out for TCU. 461 yards and 2 touchdowns for the former Oklahoma transfer. A great win by TCU, and that knocks Baylor out of the playoff conversation, not fully out of the Big 12 championship game conversation, but again, their life now becomes a lot harder to make a Big 12 championship game. Okay, let's talk about the upset of the week, the upset everyone's talking about, Purdue and Michigan State. I'm going to read off some stats, then we'll talk about the game. Peyton Thorne, 276 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Kenneth Walker, 22 carries for 136 yards and 1 touchdown. Michigan State was playing without Jalen Naylor in this game. Jaden Reed was their leading receiver. Didn't even eclipse 100 yards, though. The story is on the other side, though. Aiden O'Connell. Oh, my goodness. 536 yards, 3 touchdown performance. Played fantastic football in this game. I believe his completion percentage was 40 of 54. You guys can do the math for me. What is that? That's around 80 something, right? 80 something percent. Fantastic day for Aiden O'Connell, and a fantastic day for David Bell, who shined bright in the upset against Iowa as well, right? 11 catches, 217 yards, and a touchdown. Had 240 yards against the Iowa Hawkeyes when they were ranked number 2, right? And Purdue had to pull that upset off on the road. They got to pull off this upset in front of their home fans. And of course, they storm the field. They have a good time. They get the 11-point upset victory over the Michigan State Spartans. Michigan State had only played one team, I believe only one other team with a winning record, and they won that game, and that was Michigan. That's why they were sitting at number 3 in the nation. Kenneth Walker's looked like a Heisman candidate all year. Heisman candidate. I don't know what I just said, but has looked like a Heisman candidate all year. And Purdue didn't necessarily shut him down, but again, the day that Aiden O'Connell had, just fantastic. Didn't let Peyton Thorne get cooking that much either. A fantastic win for Purdue, and now they have two top 5 upsets on the year. I get that there are some shaky losses on the schedule for Purdue, but they've made a bowl game. This is a very impressive season for the Purdue Boilermakers, and honestly, I was shocked when the AP poll got released and they were not ranked. And I'm going to be even more shocked if the College Football Playoff Committee does not look at this team and think that they are a top 25 team. If Purdue is not ranked tomorrow, you're going to hear about it from me on my video, of course, where I release my top 25 and react to the playoff committee top 25. But again, that one comes out tomorrow. I don't have it on the board, didn't have a lot of room. But again, that video comes out tomorrow. A huge upset here for Purdue, shaking up the college football landscape once again. And now there is no chance of an undefeated team coming out of the Big Ten. That was the last one right there. So Ohio State, probably now still the favorites to win the Big Ten. But again, every team in the Big Ten has something they can clean up. Michigan State, they got to play better against better opponents. Ohio State, again, clean up your offense a little bit. And the defense has still been on a learning curve pretty much this entire year. For Michigan, still improve the pass game. And we'll actually get to Michigan in a little bit, but let's keep going down the list. For Penn State, after dropping their last 3 games, they become bowl eligible here with a 31-14 win over the Maryland Terrapins. Jahan Dotson, what a day for him. 11 catches, 242 yards, and 3 touchdowns. And that was Sean Clifford's only 3 touchdowns he threw in this game, along with 363 yards. And, of course, 242 that went to Jahan Dotson. This game was pretty close throughout, but Penn State pulled away at the end. Maryland had to win one of their last 4. Now just has to win one of their last 3. Probably wasn't going to win this game anyway. Still have a game with Michigan and Michigan State coming up. So you got to win. Again, you don't have to win at least one of those, but you have to beat Rutgers at the end of the year. Otherwise, you're not making a bowl game. So I don't like their chances to beat Michigan State or Michigan, although those games could be fairly interesting. Flying through a couple of games here. UCF able to beat Tulane. Again, still does not have Dylan Gabriel back, but they do get the 4-point win over a struggling Tulane this year. Thought Tulane was going to be a much better team. Proving now that, well, Oklahoma probably should have beat them by a lot more, right? Cincinnati should have beat them by a lot more, right? All right. Devin Leary had a 4-touchdown performance against Florida State to help the 19th ranked Wolfpack win 28-14. Man, how about this kid, Devin Tompkins at Utah State, right? 9 catches, 215 yards for 2 touchdowns. And Logan Bonner, his quarterback, former Arkansas State transfer, 359 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 1 interception. While the defense for Utah State had 7 sacks, 14 tackles for loss, 5 quarterback hurries, and they beat New Mexico State again, one of the worst teams in FCS, able to beat them pretty easily. Mississippi State and Arkansas. This was a very interesting game, and the committee's decision to put Mississippi State at 17 raised some eyebrows. And, well, probably not going to be ranked after this year. They fall, or after this week, fall to 5-4, while Arkansas improves to 6-3. And I'm going to go out and say I'd be surprised if Arkansas wasn't ranked when I see the rankings, or when we all see the rankings tomorrow. Good day for Will Rogers from Mississippi State. 417 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 pick. Not a great day for Jefferson, though. Only 191 yards and 1 touchdown. Dominique Johnson controlled the run game for Arkansas. 17 carries, 107 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Let's talk about the end, right? Arkansas driving down, right? They have 2 minutes. What was it? I believe it was 2 minutes and 23 seconds to drive down the field and score. And they do. They drive down the field, score a touchdown, fantastic pass into the end zone, or excuse me, a fantastic drive, fantastic play to get in. And then they go for 2, and it works, right? It works. Now they're up by 3. A field goal will have to tie it to go into overtime. And Mississippi State has 21 seconds to work with, right? Not likely. A lot of people probably turning off that game saying, yep, Arkansas won. I did not. I stayed on the game because I knew, okay, with this air raid offense, Mississippi State still has a shot. And they took lots of shots downfield, lots of short routes, lots of medium routes, I should say. And they get well within field goal range for their kicker. Again, their kicker, their starting one, did not have as much luck. Did not have that great of luck in this game. So they put in the backup, and the kick is up. The kick is not good. Arkansas wins the game on a missed field goal. Would have only gone into overtime, so Arkansas still would have won had he made the kick. Who knows? Who knows what would have happened? But Arkansas with a huge win here. They are going back to a bowl game for the first time since, I believe, 2016, while Mississippi State still has to win a game. Not an upset in my mind. I thought Arkansas was going to win this game, and they do. They win it by 3. 5 o'clock games here. Coastal Carolina, no Grayson McCall in this game, but no problem. They beat Georgia Southern by 20. And Marshall beating FAU by 15. This was a surprising result to me. Again, I don't pick every game publicly, but I have a general idea of who I think is going to win. And I did pick FAU here to win this game, but of course, Marshall did not let that happen. Not a great day for FAU overall. Pretty good day for Memphis, though. They win 28-13. UNLV picks up their first win of the year. God, finally, right? It felt like this team was going to win at some point, and they do. They win 31-17 over New Mexico. Again, they don't get a win over a great team, but they get a win over a team that has three of them. Three times as many wins as UNLV does right now. But UNLV finally got that elusive win. And the defense was great. 8 sacks and 11 tackles for loss led UNLV to this victory. All right, LSU and Alabama. I promise we're almost done. You just got these games left. Stick with me. You can do it. LSU and Alabama. This was a very interesting game to watch. And it wasn't supposed to be, right? It was not supposed to be this interesting of a game. And Max Johnson didn't even have a great day. Only 160 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. I told you I thought he was going to have the game of his life. If LSU was going to pull off this upset. Didn't happen. Bryce Young had a Bryce Young day, 302 yards and 2 touchdowns. But what kept LSU in this game was they controlled the line of scrimmage on the offensive end, right? And even on the defensive end. They just controlled the line of scrimmage in this game. They were winning the battles up front. Ty Davis Price had 23 carries for 104 yards, while Alabama on their side of things, 26 carries, only 6 yards, and 1 touchdown for the Alabama rushing attack. So LSU did a great job of holding that at bay. The only problem was Bryce Young has some of the best wide receivers in the nation and has Jamison Williams, who's probably going to be a first-round pick in the NFL draft. 10 catches, 160 yards, 1 touchdown. LSU comes up with a massive stop late in the game. Couldn't get anything going on offense as Alabama survives. So when you look at all the other teams ranked up there, Alabama looks vulnerable. Oregon looks vulnerable. We'll get there. Ohio State looks vulnerable. Cincinnati looks vulnerable. Michigan State just lost to a Purdue team that isn't fantastic, but is still a pretty good football team. So everyone behind Georgia, it's kind of seeming like it's Georgia and everyone else. Georgia probably going to win the national championship this year. I'll say that now. Again, I've seen crazier things happen, but that defense is just way too good. That's all I'll say. Again, anything can happen, but teams have got to start making improvements if they want to get up to Georgia's level. Old Dominion beats FAU here. Pretty good win there for the Monarchs as they improved to 3-6. Have to win their last 3 games to make a bowl game. And Boise State, well on their way to doing so, a huge upset win over the 23rd ranked Fresno State Bulldogs, as the Bulldogs now drop to 7-3 and probably not going to win that division in the Mountain West either. You have Nevada, San Diego State, 2 teams that won this week. We'll get there to play for that division this week. Great win for Boise State. Bachmeier had a pretty good day. Hainer had an okay day, but did throw 3 picks and 11 penalties for 91 penalty yards for Fresno State. Didn't help either, and that's what helped Boise State win this game. Iowa and Northwestern. They put Alex Padilla in this game. Spencer Petras did start the game, but did not finish it. Finished it was Alex Padilla. Only 172 passing yards, but for Tyler Goodson, 21 carries, 141 yards, 1 touchdown. By far his best performance of the season, in my opinion. And Iowa picks up the close win, though. Northwestern did go down and score late in the game to make this one semi-interesting. But Iowa still comes away with the 5-point win thanks to that defense. Speaking of defense, there wasn't any to be seen in Tennessee versus Kentucky. 87 total points scored in this game as Tennessee going to pull off the upset win. Yeah, Hendon Hooker had a great day for Tennessee, 316 yards with 4 touchdowns. Kentucky didn't play a bad game, though. Will Levis, 372 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception, along with Wan'Dale Robinson's 13 catches for 166 yards and a touchdown of his own. Tennessee just ended up scoring more points than Kentucky. And hey, that's all you got to do. That's all you got to do, right? Just score more points than the other team. That's exactly what Tennessee did, and they win the game by 3, probably knocking Kentucky out of the top 25. They started out 6-0, looked really good, and now they have dropped their last 3. Oregon State and Colorado. This was an interesting game. Colorado's been struggling on offense all year, and this was just one of the odd games that, hey, look, they remembered what offense is. You see that, 37 points? They remembered how to offense in this game, and they beat Oregon State, who has been, again, trending in the right direction slowly year after year. Colorado gets the win, 37-34. Oregon State still only 1 win away from bowl eligibility, but now Colorado got to win their last 3 in order to make it. Michigan beating Indiana here in this game again. What's been going on with Indiana this year? No idea, but the 7th-ranked team in the nation in the Michigan Wolverines win 29-7, although it did not come without a cost. So Blake Corum got hurt in this game, a lower leg injury. They've been speculating it's nothing too serious. And anyway, and they have Hassan Haskins anyway. He had 27 carries, 168 yards, a touchdown in this game. Game was never really in doubt for Michigan, although it was pretty interesting in for the most part in the first half. But Corum, hopefully he can get back soon. I'm going to guess he's going to be ready to go by the Ohio State game. I just think that that's going to happen. But how long will he be out? That is what you're going to that's what you're going to want to watch for. He was on a boot in the sideline watching the game, so we'll see, right? We'll definitely keep an eye on that. See what happens. All right. Last little column here. Couple games. We're almost done. I promise. I know I tried to make this video be shorter, but didn't happen. What are you going to do? DJ Uiagalelei, 220 yards for 2 touchdowns, but Clemson's defense still have a lot of talent on this defense. Couldn't contain Malik Cunningham. 174 yards passing, that's it, but 22 carries, 134 yards with 2 touchdowns on the ground. Does not matter though. Clemson makes enough defensive plays and they take their first lead of the game with 4 minutes and 12 seconds left. They led 27-24 with that amount of time left, and they didn't look back. Clemson tacks on another field goal after that as they get their second straight win and beat Louisville. So Louisville got to win 2 out of your last 3 to make a bowl game. Clemson, they clinch a bowl game this week. Now, who thought Clemson would clinch a bowl game in week 9? Or what is this, week 10, right? Not before. Not me. Definitely not. But Clemson, starting to find it, right? They're starting to get back. Still nowhere near as good as they were supposed to be in the preseason, but they're starting to find it. Iowa State beat the brakes off of Texas. Nothing going here for the Texas Longhorns. The Steve Sarkisian offense looked very bad in this game. I'll just go ahead and say that. Iowa State, really good win for them here after the disappointing loss to West Virginia. They clinch a spot in the bowl game. Texas has to win 2 out of their last 3. Again, it's going to take some time for Texas to find to kind of get back, right? As people like to say these days. Florida gets a pounding from South Carolina, and just Dan Mullen's not the problem here at Florida. It's always been Todd Grantham, right? The defensive coordinator, you look, all the years he's been there, Florida's defense has just not been great. I was under the impression that it would get better this year because of the playmakers they have. You have Ventrell Miller, Brenton Cox, Kaiir Elam, some of the best players in their respective positions around the nation. And nope, it has not gotten better this year. And they fired Todd Grantham, who's the defensive coordinator, and John Hevesi, who was the offensive line coach. Dan Mullen is going to stay. He's going to get some new personnel. We'll see how Florida does the rest of the year. They have to win 2 out of their last 3 to make a bowl game. And with the games that's on their schedule, it's very doable. It's very doable. South Carolina's only got to win 1 more game. So both these teams we could see in bowl season. But again, Florida, they're going to be making some changes in the offseason. And we'll see how this team looks in 2022, because this year has been a very, very big disappointment for Florida Gator fans, I'm sure. All right, Houston and USF. This game was pretty interesting throughout, but some great performances by McCaskill with 22 carries, 125 yards and 3 touchdowns, along with Nathaniel Dell, 8 catches for 164 yards and a touchdown, as Houston wins an offensive showdown. Oregon and Washington. Again, this Oregon team was starting to get back to form of the team that beat Ohio State in week 2. I think they took a tiny step back this week. Travis Dye was amazing, though. 28 carries, 211 yards and a touchdown, but it was Anthony Brown, right? It was Anthony Brown. 98 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. That's all he got through the air. On the ground, though, 12 carries, 62 yards, 1 touchdown. Solid on the ground, but not great through the air. Again, this is the best passing defense in the nation, so I'll give them a little bit of a pass there. But a 10-point win for the Ducks. The defense is looking a lot better as well. They're starting to get back there. Maybe a tiny step back this week, but for the most part, Oregon playing some pretty solid football right now. I've already mentioned a little bit about Nevada, but they win this game on a day that was not Carson Strong's best day. Wasn't Carson Strong's best day at all. Nevada still gets the win by 3, and they're going to be playing for the division next week, saying that them and San Diego State, who beat Hawaii this week, 24th ranked team in the nation, went out. Right? UTSA remains undefeated. They are 9-0. Jeff Traylor gets a contract extension. Crazy stuff happening in San Antonio right now. But 286 yards for 2 touchdowns for Frank Harris and Sear McCormick, 21 carries, 169 yards and a touchdown. And then Franklin, the wide receiver, 10 catches, 114 yards and 2 touchdowns as well. This is possibly the most underrated quarterback, running back, and wide receiver trio I have ever seen. And it's because they play at UTSA, right? This is a very, very good trio. I'm surprised it's not getting more attention, but this game was on ESPN2. I need the committee to rank UTSA this week. This team is playing some really, really good football. And if it wasn't for Cincinnati, they would be getting the spot in the New Year's Six Bowl, I think, without a shadow of a doubt. This team, I really don't see them losing a game. So we'll see what happens there. Arizona State clinches a spot in the bowl game with a nice win over USC. Again, USC doesn't have Drake London, possibly for the rest of the year. But Rachaad White, what a day from him. 28 carries, 202 yards with 3 touchdowns as Arizona State wins that one. Utah seemingly going to control the Pac-12 South, but Arizona State not out of it quite yet, although they do need some help. And again, I've mentioned numerous times, San Diego State with the 7-point win over Hawaii. All right. Wow. We're done. We're done, right? Thank you guys for sticking with me throughout these videos. If you watch the entire thing, I don't think there's anyone out there that does, but if you do, power to you. Bye weeks. Oklahoma was on bye week, so I don't expect them to move that much tomorrow. There are 4 undefeated teams left. Yes, I have the right number up this week. Last week I put 5. It was supposed to be 6. I did that mistake earlier this year, whatever. There are 4 now. It's Georgia, Cincinnati, Oklahoma, and UTSA. And I expect all 4 of them to be ranked by the playoff committee this week. But we'll see what happens. There are a lot of interesting games still to come on the schedule. November is just getting started. And if it's going to be anything like this, the finish to this college football season is going to be fun. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be chaotic. And I'm going to be here to cover it all. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, do all of that fun stuff. Really helps me out a ton. You guys have no idea how much it helps me out. It helps me out a ton. Otherwise, my top 25 video comes out tomorrow. My top 25 video comes out tomorrow. Again, I react to playoff rankings, release my own rankings, and then I'll give you my playoff predictions and New Year's Six Bowl game predictions on Wednesday. Of course, the preview will come out Thursday or Friday, whichever one. Again, I have to look at the slate of games this week. So thank you guys again for watching. Remember to play hard, but tailgate harder. See all you guys tomorrow. See what the playoff committee has in store for us after a pretty poor showing in the last week. So we'll see what happens. See all you guys tomorrow. Goodbye.